In this video, we are going to review the trigonometric functions other than sine and cosine, the integrals, the main integrals that everybody needs to memorize, and we're also going to figure out how to plug in the known angles, how to remember that, and it's actually not going to be that hard to remember. So let's get going. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just write down the main four integrals that we should know. And they really come from derivatives, okay? So if you have a tangent x, okay, so I'm going to have the function on the left, and then the derivative is going to be on the right, okay? So this is the derivative. So derivative of tangent x is secant squared x, so we need to just memorize that. The derivative of cotangent x is actually also very easy to remember. From here, it's going to be cosecant squared x, but if the function starts with the c, the answer for the derivative is always negative. So just remember, if it starts with the c, it's going to be negative. Okay, next is secant, and the derivative there is secant tangent. Okay, secant, by the way, is 1 over cosine. There is no sign change because secant starts with an s, not a c. Now, if you have cosecant x, that does start with the c, which means that this is going to be negative. So this is going to be negative cosine x, cotangent x. Okay, that s did not turn out very well. Okay. All right. Now, when we integrate, we just flip them. Okay, so it's not that hard. If you remember the derivatives, then you just flip to get the integrals. So integral of secant squared is going to be tangent plus c. Integral of cosecant squared. Now, when you flip in, you would have to flip the sign also to the other side. So that's going to be negative cotangent. Then, if you have secant tangent, so secant x, tangent x, that's going to be secant. And finally, cosecant, cotangent, will be negative cosecant. Okay, so that's something to memorize. All right, so let's see if we can answer these questions. So every number that we see, we just keep. Okay, so 3 cosecant squared t. Now, cosecant is negative cotangent. This will become negative 3 cotangent t. Okay, next one is secant squared. There's no sign change, it becomes tangent. So that would be negative 2 tangent t. Next is cosecant cotangent, which is negative cosecant. So there will be a sign change. So we'll have plus 3 cosecant. Secant tangent is just secant, no sign change. So we have negative 5 secant t. Okay. Now that we integrated it, we are going to have to plug in the limits. But this is where the difficulty starts, because you cannot use Desmos calculator. Now, why can't you? Well, I mean, you can kind of do what to check your work, but the teachers does not accept decimal answers. So if I defined f of t to be all of this stuff, and by the way, you would have to switch to radians for sure. Okay, so first of all, Desmos calculator does not understand. So if you see the triangle, it does not understand cotangent. Like when you go to functions, you can see that there is sine, cosine, and tangent, but there's no cotangent. Cotangent is just 1 over tangent. So if you had to do that, you would have to divide by tangent. Okay. Tangent is okay, but cosecant, no, that's 1 over sine. So remember this, the letters changes. So it's like cosecant is 1 over sine. So let us flip. So this is actually 3 divided by sine. And secant is 1 over cosine. So you have to divide by cosine. So now there's no triangle. But, okay, so if you wanted to compute it at pi over 3, it is going to give you, and again, you need to convert it to radians. It's going to give you some sort of decimal, and decimal values are not allowed. The best you can hope for is that your teacher is going to give you possibly some extra credit, or partial credit, rather. And then same thing with pi over 4, and then you can subtract them to get the answer. But again, this is supposed to be no decimals. Okay, so what do? Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to fill out this table for main angles that you need to know. And really, as it turns out, that all you have to do is just remember the first row. If you can remember the first row, that everything else comes out of it, okay? So for sine, you're going to get 0. You need to remember, sine of 0 is 0. The next one is going to be square root of 1 over 2. The next one is square root of 2 over 2. This one is going to be square root of 3 over 2. And then this one is going to be 1. So it's not that hard to remember these either, except square root of 1. Nobody's going to put it this way, but I just wanted to see, to see the pattern so you can see it. So usually people will put 1/2. But you can think of it as square root of 1 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, square root of 3 over 2. Okay, so we got that. Then, to get the cosine, you just flip everything. So instead of starting at 0, you're just going to go backwards. So this is 1, this is square root of 3 over 2, this is square root of 2 over 2, this is 1/2, and then back to 0. Okay? That's it. Now, to get tangent, you need to remember that that's sine over cosine, which hopefully you remember anyway. So you're just going to divide. 0 divided by 1 is 0. Now here, both of these fractions have denominator of 2, which you don't care because it's going to cancel. So you just divide in the numerators. This is going to become 1 over square root of 3. These two are the same, so that's just 1. Square root of 3 divided by 1 is square root of 3. And then 1 divided by 0 is undefined. So I'm just going to say it does not exist, D and E. For cotangent, guess what? You're just going to flip them just like you did with cosine, okay? So that's it. So you don't have to remember anything. You don't have to do anything. Just write it in backwards. Okay. What about secant? Secant is 1 over cosine. The letter has to switch. So this starts with a C, S, it'll be C, okay? So all you're doing is you're finding reciprocal of the second row, meaning like 1 over. So 1 over 1 is 1. Here it will become 2 divided by square root of 3. So you're switching the top and the bottom. Here it will become 2 divided by square root of 2, which by the way can be simplified as just square root of 2. Because 2 is square root of 2 times square root of 2, and one of them cancels out. Now, 1/2 becomes a 2 because you flipped them, and division by 0 is not allowed, so that doesn't exist. And again, you could probably guess that cosecant is just you just write everything backwards. So this is going to be 2, this is going to be square root of 2, this is 2 over square root of 3, and finally that's 1. Okay? Now, all we have to do is just read the answers from here. Okay? So let's start. So we're going to have negative 3. Now we want cotangent of pi over 3. Cotangent of pi over 3 is 1 over square root of 3. Okay, then we have minus 2. Tangent of pi over 3. Well, that's square root of 3. Okay. Plus 3 cosecant of pi over 3. Well, that's 2 over square root of 3. And then minus 5 secant of pi over 3. And secant of pi over 3 is 2. Now, do you have to simplify that? No. No, you do not. Also, do you remember that how we were able to get this in decimals? I wonder if I get the same thing if I were just to take this whole thing. Oops. Let me take this whole thing and paste it here. Do you see how I got the same answer? Which is good. That means that I know that I'm right. Okay. Now, let's do exactly the same thing with pi over 4. Okay, so we got negative 3. Now we have to multiply by cotangent of pi over 4. Well, cotangent of pi over 4 is 1. Okay, then tangent of pi over 4. Well, that's also 1. Then we got plus 3 multiplied by what? Well, we have cosecant of pi over 4, and that is square root of 2. Okay, minus 5, and then we have secant of pi over 4, and secant of pi over 4 is square root of 2. Okay, so it looks like cosecant and secant are the same at pi over 4, right? They're both square root of 2. Okay, so just to check that out, let me copy this over here. And you can see that the two answers match up, which means that I'm right. Now you can simplify this stuff because yeah, you can simplify some of them, combine them, but if they're not asking you to do that, so why do that? Okay, so then the final answer is going to be you have to subtract them, right? You have to subtract them. Okay, so if you don't simplify, you are going to have to do a lot of entering. Okay, so the first one, maybe I should simplify. So 3 divided by square root of 3, that's square root of 3. Minus 2 square root of 3, that's actually minus 3 square root of 3. Then plus 6 divided by square root of 3. So actually I can just do 3 divided by square root of 3 is square root of 3 multiplied by 2. So that's another 2 square root of 3 minus 10. So it looks like on the top I actually have minus square root of 3 minus 10. Yeah, so that's my top, minus square root of 3 minus 10. Then I have to maybe simplify a little bit this other one. Okay, so what do I have for the other one? I got negative 3 minus 2, then plus 3 square root of 2 and minus 5 square root of 2. So that's actually minus 2 square root of 2. Okay, so this looks like it's minus 5. And then minus 2 square root of 2, but I'm subtracting that. So this is actually going to be plus 5 plus 2 square root of 2. And I think that would be the final answer. And then, of course, these I can just simplify further. And I'm done.